Okay, good evening, everyone. Tonight we continue Gemara Masechet Berachot. We have some extremely practical topics tonight related to concepts of if you forgot to pray, or if you forgot, well, not really if you forgot to pray, but if you forgot if you prayed, if you're not sure if you prayed before, and when I say pray, I'm referring to the Amidah. So let's say you're not sure if you prayed Arvit, you're not sure if you prayed Mincha, and then all of a sudden you remember later. Or let's say, for example, you wanna pray because can you pray again if you're not sure, or if you desire to pray anyway, are you allowed to? There are certain situations like that. So we're going to talk about this concept of a voluntary tefillah. We're also going to talk about concepts of if you come late to Kanisa. If you come late to Kanisa and you're gonna start your Amidah, and they already started. So there's like a timing game that you have to play. Like, when should I start? Can I just start whenever I want? But if I start, what happens if I'm going to miss Nagdishah? What happens if I'm going to miss saying Modim? These types of questions, there's like a timing game that's very important. That's hopefully something we'll get into tonight. Very important topics. So let's get started. Gemara Masechet Berachot of Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph 21A. I want to go back a little bit before we do the new things, because it'll give us a good running start for the topic tonight. So let me share screen. Here we go. Where we last were speaking about if someone wasn't sure if he said Shema. He wasn't sure if he said Shema. If he wasn't sure if he said Shema and Emet V'Yatziv. We spoke about all of that, whether the Shema Yisrael is Deoraita or Derabana. Okay? But this Rabbi Elazar is where the discussion shifts into tefillah. Okay, we're going to have three opinions here, and we're going to see, including Shulchan Aruch, what we're supposed to do in certain situations. Rabbi Lazar Amar. So if you're looking at the art scroll, we already did this, but we're going to do it one more time. Rabbi Lazar Amar. It's on 21A-3. Right? Rabbi Lazar Amar, 21A-3. It's on the right column. It's the first break. Rabbi Elazar Amar. Safek kara kriyat Shema, safek lo kara. If someone is not sure if he read Shema or not, Shalom Aleichem, he's unsure if he said Shema. Again, this happens where someone all of a sudden falls, like he prays Arvit at home sometimes, and then on this night he was very busy. He can't remember, did I pray or not? I don't remember if I did. Or a guy falls asleep and he wakes up and he's disoriented. Did I pray? I'm not sure. So safek kara kriyat Shema, safek lo kara. If he's not sure whether he said Shema or not, chozer v'koreh kriyat Shema. You should say it again. You're required to say it again. Why? Because it's a mitzvah deoraita. It's a mitzvah from the Torah to say Shema, and when you have a safek from the Torah, you do it again. Also, you're not losing anything by saying the Shema Yisrael. It's psukim from the Torah, so there's no risk. You're required to say Shema again. Safek yitpalel, safek lo yitpalel. Let's say you're not sure if you prayed Amidah or not. I can't remember if I prayed Mincha. Did I pray Mincha or not? Did I pray Arvit or not? Like I said, this example, it's late at night. The guy's about to go to sleep, and he's like, wait, did I do Arvit yet? I didn't pray Arvit. I didn't go to Kanisa, but did I do it before? I can't remember. Let's say this is the situation. Eno chozer u'mitalel. So Rabbi Lazar says you don't have to go back to say it. First, is by Shema. If you're not sure, you have to say it. Safek d'oraita. By Amidah, if you're not sure if you said it, you don't need to say it. Why? Because it's only the Rabbanan. That's the first view of Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Rabbi Yochanan says the following line: Ulvai sheitpalel adam kol hayom kulo. If only kashki, that people were praying all day long. So what Rabbi Yochanan's response to Rabbi Lazar is, it's the best thing in the world for someone to be praying all day long. And the way you could understand this is, again, there's different ways, but let's just go simply. Rabbi Lazar is saying you don't repeat it. If you're not sure if you said tefillah, you don't say it. And Rabbi Yochanan says you say it. Or at least you can say it. Ulvai sheitpalel adam kol hayom kulo. Everyone say it. Ulvai sheitpalel adam kol hayom kulo. If only ulvai. Sometimes they say this as halavai. Same shorish. Ulvai, halavai. Or some will say it as valavai. I think they are so close to halavai, but there's no hay there, but they still want to do it. So they say valavai. I think the way it's read is ulvai. But anyway, it's all the same thing. It's like luleh. If only someone was saying Shema all day long, or saying Tefillah all day long, it's good. Now, there's a third opinion here, and this is the way Rashi explains. It's going to be it's another view. But Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says Haya omed b'tfilah. Let's say someone is praying. He's in the middle of his tefillah. V'nizkar she'itpalel, and then he remembers that he prays. Posek, he stops right in his tracks. Like I've said, this has happened to me before, and the common situation is if you pray early mincha on Friday, right? It happens sometimes. I'm somewhere, all of a sudden they have a Friday. Okay, we're gonna pray mincha. Then you come to Knesset later. I'm coming to bed Knesset Friday night. I'm all ready, and then they start praying mincha, and I start praying mincha, and then all of a sudden, right in the middle of the tefillah, I get up to one of the berachot. I don't know. All of a sudden, you're in the middle of your tefillah, and what happens? I already prayed mincha. So what do? You're in the middle of your tefillah. So says Shmuel, posek ve'afilu be'emsa beracha. You stop in your tracks. Wherever you are, stop. Don't go any further. Okay? So this is the third statement. First one, Rabbi Lazar says, if you're not sure if you said Amidah or not, you don't say it again. Rabbi Yochanan is saying you can say it again. It's fine to say it as many times as you want. It's a good thing to say it. So you could say it again. If you're not sure, say it again. And then comes Shmuel, and Shmuel says a different law, but we're going to see it's a third view. He says that if you knew that you prayed, you have to stop. Right? Now, what the Gemara wants to do now is challenge the opinion of Shmuel. Shmuel is an Amorah. So let's bring a statement to challenge the opinion of Shmuel. How so? V'ini is that so? Rav Nachman taught us the following. When they visited the Talmidim once, and they visited the Gadol Hador, his name was Rav Barabua. They asked him, Hani b'nei be'Rav, the yeshiva students, the tau umitkared dechol b'Shabbat. What happened? This yeshiva students, their minds are so consumed in Torah that they're always praying. Hamashum Gijan. They like as Basket, they're studying so much Torah, they don't know where they are. Right? So the students that are on Shabbat, umitkeret dechol b'Shabbat, and on Shabbat they start doing the weekday tefillah. Mahu sheigmeru. Should they complete it? Okay. So what happens? You have to pray Arvit Friday night. It says it starts the same way. Hashem Sefilai Tiftach, Magen Avraham, Ata Kadosh, Ha'el Kadosh. What's next? Ata Kidashta et Hayom. Right. So it starts with Ata, and then the bracha of the weekdays Ata Chonen Adam Dat, Mamen Le'Enosh Binah, V'Chonen Meitcha Chacham Midat. So let's say someone already started. What do? Okay, so you remember this Gemara. You've learned this in your mother's womb. That's what you mean you remember. This is it. This is the source. Mahu she'igmeru, they continue. Ve'amalan Rava Barabu Taras Gomrin Kol Ata Bracha. You need to finish that entire bracha. So the famous joke is that you're praying Arvit a Friday night and you're just going. You say boom. Boom. When you get into the Salach Lanu, I don't know if you notice, sometimes people beat their chest. You don't do this on a Friday night, but you do this on a regular Amidah. The guy on Friday night goes boom, and then all of a sudden starts scratching his chest because, like, no, I'm not doing that. It's just that's so fine. Boom, like that. So this is what you have to cover up for the fact that you're 4 brachot deep already into a weekday bracha. So what are you supposed to do when you do this? You're actually supposed to finish that bracha. Gomrin kol ata bracha. You say Barashem Chanun Rabbi Listoach. Ata kidash et yom hashemi. Then you go back to what you should have said for Friday night. Okay. So this is what we're saying. We're saying here that if someone is praying a weekday tefillah on Shabbat, you have to finish that beracha. But what did Shmuel tell us? Shmuel said is, let's say someone is praying mincha and he remembers in the middle of a bracha, he remembers, I already prayed. What are you supposed to do? Says Shmuel, stop, shorten your tracks. You have to just stop where you are. Don't even finish that bracha. Just stop. You're done. No, say shalom, nothing. You're done. You made a mistake. You don't keep going with the mistake. You cut your losses. You stop. But with the Shabbat prayer, that if you start doing the weekday prayer, we say finish that bracha and then go back to Ata Kidashta. So the Gemara would say, really, maybe that's not correct. Maybe. Okay, very good. You remember the next line of the Gemara too. Hachi Hashta. The Gemara says, are these cases comparable? Hatam Gavra Bar Chayuvahu. The Friday night case that the guy is saying a weekday prayer, he needs to pray, right? He has to pray. He didn't pray Arvit yet. He needs to pray Arvit, and he's saying it. And the rabbis shortened the tefillah on Shabbat to make it easier for Shabbat. On Shabbat, instead of having a long Amidah, they made it shorter for us. Why? So this way you could go home quicker. So this, meanwhile, the tefillah on Shabbat is longer than any other day of the week. But regardless, they make the tefillah shorter. They make it quicker. They, instead of going through all of the different things you need to pray for and ask Hashem for, they made it short. They condensed it. They give us a concise tefillah. So is there something wrong with saying Atah Chonen Adam Dat on Friday night? No, there's nothing wrong with it. The person is actually required to pray, and that is a formulation of prayer, but the rabbis made it easier. So here's a situation where you're saying something that's valid. You could say this prayer on Friday night. You haven't prayed yet, so continue the bracha, and then you go back to the tefillah of Shabbat. The Rabbanan made him, they didn't impose the entire long tefillah on him, but in a situation where the guy already prayed, and now in the middle of his prayer, he remembers that he already prayed, he's not required to pray anymore. Hatzalela, he already prayed, so he has to stop. So that's the difference between these two cases. Okay? All right, I want to show you, before we go on, because there's a lot to discuss here, but I first need to show you Rashi. Here we go. Rashi. Go away. Okay, so do you remember we had Rabbi Elazar who told us that if you're not sure if you said Amidah or not, what do you do? Rabbi Elazar was the first opinion. If you're not sure, what do? You don't need to say it, right? If you're not sure if you prayed, you don't need to pray. Savek Rabbanan Kula. That's what Rabbi Elazar taught us. Rabbi Yochanan's response to that was, you could pray all day long. So what's the problem? You're not sure if you prayed. Pray. Even if you're sure you prayed, pray. Pray. It's a good thing to be praying all day long. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. And then comes Rabbi Shmuel, and says that if you know that you prayed, you have to stop. So you see, what's interesting here is that if you're not sure if you prayed, you don't have to go back. But if you know for sure that you prayed, you have to stop short in your tracks. So now look at what Rashi says for halakha. So Rashi quotes the opinion of the Halachot Gedolot, and he says, Halacha Rabbi Yochanan besafek. If you're not sure if you prayed, if it's a safek, the law is like Rabbi Yochanan, who says, pray all day, which means if you're not sure, then you should pray. But the halacha is like Shmuel in the case where you for sure did pray. So Rashi doesn't do this usually. Rashi doesn't usually, is not a posek. Rashi is a commentator to help us learn how to read the Gemara. For some reason, Rashi steps out of his style and he says, I want to tell you what the halacha is. If it's a situation that we're not sure, that Rabbi Lazar said you don't need to go back, but Rabbi Yochanan says you should, we do. You say it again. If you're not sure, you say it. Like Rabbi Yochanan. But if you're sure that you already read it, then you can't say it again. And if you're in the middle, you have to stop right in the middle. Stop right where you are. Okay? This is what Rashi tells us is the halacha. With this backdrop, I want to show you what Shulchan Aruch is. We still need to see a little bit more of the Gemara, and then we're going to see what Shulchan Aruch says for the halacha. Okay? Good? Questions? Okay, so very good. So you're saying Safek Berachot, you don't need to say it again, right? But Rabbi Yochanan is adding a twist to us. Rabbi Yochanan is saying is that there's nothing wrong with saying it again. When it comes to tefillah, tefillah particularly, it's fine if you were praying it all day long. So this is not a Safek Berachot issue. If it's not a Safek, if you know for sure that you already said it, that's where we follow the opinion of Shmuel that says, look, you're not required to, so just stop where you are. But even this, you're going to see Shulchan Aruch is going to say, hold on a second. If on one hand, you're telling me like Rabbi Yochanan that I could play all day long, then there's a situation where I already prayed and you tell me to stop, but why doesn't the same principle apply? Just let me keep going. You're telling me I could pray all day long, so let me keep going. right? So we're going to see how there's a difference between it, okay? These are like the different opinions. Hopefully, when we see Shulchan Aruch, there's one more line of the Gemara that we need to see, then we're going to see Shulchan Aruch. Okay, good. Let's keep going. One more line. Da, 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 da. Here we go. By the way, this discussion came up about Friday or Shabbat. If you say the wrong tefillah, if you say the word ata, you can say that, oh, I was saying ata kidashta, even if you had in mind ata chonen, but it starts with ata kidashta. And the Friday mincha, does anyone know how Friday mincha starts? Ata echad, v'shimcha echad. So it also starts with ata. Shacharit starts with Yismach Moshe. It doesn't start with the word ata. So if you say ata there, then it's like pretty clear that you made a mistake, unless you say, no, I was only saying Friday nights. I wasn't saying the weekday one, I was saying the Friday night one, so then it's fine. So if you say the word ata, you could continue with the Shabbat one, even in the morning. You say ata Yismach Moshe, it's fine. But once you say ata chonen, it's too late. It's like you hit the upwards escalator button and someone's behind you. You can't go back. You said ata, you're going up, go up, and then come back down, and then you start with the tefillah back with ata kidashat yom hashivi or ata echad yismach Moshe. Once you say ata chonen, the elevator door is closed. You're going up. It's okay. You come back. You can continue later. That's because of Friday night. But as we said, Halacha says that if you are in the middle of a prayer that you already prayed, you have to stop where you are. Okay? Let's see the next line. Okay, very good. You're very good, Elon. That's what it's going to be. Very. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Shmuel is now going to tell us another law. Let's say you already prayed. Hitpalel v'nichnas lebet knesset v'umatza tzibur shemitpalelim. Let's say you already prayed. Okay, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. You prayed Arvit. Then all of a sudden someone calls you and says, look, we need a minyan. You say, I already prayed at home. I wasn't planning. I'm already in my underwear right now. I'm ready to go to sleep. You say, look, we need a minyan. You're the only one that's available. So you put on your clothing and you go to the Bet Knesset. So here, and now you're coming to the Bet Knesset. You already prayed. And now you're coming and you're praying, and you have an opportunity to pray with the minyan. You come to Bet Knesset, they're praying. Let's see what Shmuel tells us here. If you can say something new in your prayer, if in your prayer you can create something new, yachzor v'itpalel, you can pray again. So here's a situation where you already prayed, right? Remember my example that Friday mincha you came, you already prayed, and then you're in the middle of your prayer. What do you have to do? You have to stop. Now Shmuel, the same opinion. Remember, this is Shmuel over here. Shmuel, in this case, same opinion says, if you already prayed and then you come to Bet Knesset and they're praying again, if you could come up with something new and different, then you are allowed to pray again. However, if you cannot come up with something new, do not pray again. So we're gonna have to explain what this means to come up with something new. Again, I'm gonna get into that. But before we do that, let's assume you cannot come up with something new. Let's assume you cannot come up with something new. Let's say you're just going to follow what it says. You're going to read what it says in the Siddur. So the two statements that Shmuel said is, if you already prayed, and then you start praying again and you realize you already prayed, stop. And the second time he says, if you already prayed, you come to the Bet Knesset, this time in the Bet Knesset they're praying, don't pray. Right? Unless you could add something new, which I'll explain. But let's assume you can't say something new, don't do it. So the first time we said, if you started, stop. Another one is saying, if you haven't started, don't start. It's just both, it's the same, it's consistent. Shmuel is saying, hey, if you started and you realize you said it, stop right there. And if you said it already, don't say it again, even though the minyan looks enticing. So there's two statements from Shmuel. Why does he need to teach us this in two ways? That's the first thing we want to address. Why is Shmuel, the same person, teaching us two laws that are identical? The first time he says, if you're praying, if you prayed already, and now you're praying again, and you realize, I already prayed, just stop where you are. Don't continue, not even one extra word, just stop. The other statement that Shmuel says is, if you already prayed, and you come to a minyan, and you see that they're praying, don't join them. Don't pray. You already prayed. These are the two statements of Shmuel we're going to have to see. The Gemara is going to ask, why do you need to tell me both of them? Yes?
Addressing the difference between obligatory prayer and optional like prayer, like if you want to pray more times.
No, not right now. Okay, very good. You're introducing this idea of this concept of a Tefillat Nedava, a voluntary prayer. Here, he's not talking about a voluntary prayer. Here, he's telling both of these fellows, you are not allowed to pray. This guy's in the middle of his prayer. He realizes he already prayed. Stop. This guy already prayed, comes to Minyan. He sees there's a Minyan there. I want to join them. No, you cannot pray. He tells both of these fellows, you're not allowed to pray. Why do you need to teach us both of them? Utzericha. We needed both. Why? Because each one has a unique circumstance. If you would have taught me the first case, what was the first case? Shmuel says that if a fellow already prayed and then he starts praying again and he realizes, hey, I already prayed. We tell him, stop. You would have thought that applies because he prayed by himself the first time and he was praying by himself the second time. So he was praying biyachid, meaning without a minyan, and he was praying by himself the first time, and he prayed with himself. Then he started praying again. He realized he made a mistake. There's nothing different between the first prayer and the second prayer, so you tell him to stop. Or tzibur v'tzibur. Or maybe, and we just turned to 21B, Techaf Alaf Amud Bet. Or maybe you would say that he was praying in a minyan, like the example I said, Friday afternoon, he prayed in a minyan, and then he comes again Friday afternoon again, and he realizes, hey, I already prayed, but in the middle of the prayer, stop. If you would have only taught me this situation of you prayed and then you were praying again and you remembered that you prayed, you have to stop, you would have thought that that is because the guy prayed, either both of them were alone without a minyan, or both of them were with a minyan. Oh, but what happens if I prayed by myself and all of a sudden I have an opportunity to pray in a minyan? I wasn't expecting this. I prayed by myself at home. Then all of a sudden they come and I have a chance to pray over there. They tell me go be chazan. They tell me you say nagdishach. It's like, look, okay, I know I prayed at home by myself, but then this is something else. So kamash malan. So he comes and teaches you the second statement. What was the second statement? The second statement is if you already prayed by yourself, then you come to the Beit Knesset and they have a minyan, don't join them. Unless you could add something new. But all else equal, don't join them. 1 second, let's finish the flow. I'll come to you, Andrew, after that. And if you would have only taught the second one, what was the second statement? That if you already prayed, then you go to Bet Knesset and you see them praying, don't join them. If you would have only taught me that, you know why we told them don't pray? Because you didn't start yet. But what was the first case? The guy already started. I might have thought, look, don't start, but once you started the Amidah, just do it. Okay, it's okay. You're almost done. You need to say a few more pages and you're done. But what did he say there? He said you have to stop. What's the phrase? Stop short in your tracks. Is that right? Yeah, okay. You have to stop short in your tracks. So tzricha, that's why you needed both of them. So Shmuel taught us two statements. First statement he was saying is that if you already prayed, and now you began the prayer, even though you began, the inertia doesn't work. You don't say, once I started. No, you have to stop. That's the first thing Shmuel is teaching us. And the second thing Shmuel is telling us that if you prayed alone, and then you go to Minyan, and you have an opportunity this time to pray with the tzibur, but you already prayed, you cannot pray again. This is what Shmuel says, you cannot pray again. Okay? Two statements of what Shmuel is teaching us, because you might have thought that, oh, now you're going to Minyan, now I can. No, you can't. It doesn't matter. Or you might have thought, I already started, so let me finish. The answer is no, you can't. Okay? So this is what Shmuel teaches us. And there's a few things to discuss here. Let me open up for questions. Just a few things I want to say. Number one, Shmuel did allow the guy to pray a second time if he adds something new to it. So we need to analyze what that means. And then I want to look at the halacha, keeping in mind what Rashi told us. Okay, go ahead. Question.
Can we also reconcile the first two things by giving both of these laws by saying, okay, yeah, you're not supposed to pray if you've already prayed, but Rabbi Yochanan saying, oh, anyone should be able to pray whenever they want. Okay, fine, then you can pray whenever you want, but make sure you add something.
Okay, so you're saying, going back to Rabbi Lazar, what did Rabbi Lazar tell us?
If you're unsure, you might have prayed already, don't pray again. You shouldn't risk it.
Right. So if you're not sure, don't pray again. And comes Rabbi Yochanan and says, if only you were to pray all day long. So now what you're saying is, actually, they could all be saying the same thing. It could be that he's saying, don't pray again, unless you add something new. And if you add something new, then you would be allowed to pray again, which is in fact what Shmuel tells us, that if you're able to add something new, then you would be allowed to pray, right? So very good. There's one opinion that says they're all saying different pieces of the same halacha. That's exactly correct. It's exactly correct. Very good. And that can be the case. The only caveat there is, why is Shmuel telling me I have to stop short in my tracks if I already started? Why doesn't he say continue, just add something new, right? So that's one small exception. Okay, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna see that. Yes. Shmuel says you have to stop. No, that's it. You have to stop right where you are. That's why it's like, hold on a second, that doesn't feel right. I know that there's a halacha that on Friday night, if I'm doing the wrong prayer, at least let me finish this bracha out. That was the question. Like, I know it's wrong, but like, come on, let me just finish the sentence. It doesn't make any sense. We said no. Over there, in that case, you didn't pray yet. And really, the bracha v'atah chonen on a Friday night is fine to say. It's just that the rabbis were making it shorter for you. But when you're saying it, something that's appropriate for the day, so finish that bracha. But in this situation, you made a mistake by saying this again, so you don't keep going with your mistake. You made a mistake. You cut your losses short. You just stop where you are. Yes, Rama.
It's so bad to repeat it because you said it already, and that's why it's being so firm.
There's actually it's a good idea, good point here, that the way he's saying this is that if you already prayed, you do not pray again. That's correct. You don't have this obligation. You don't have this right.
You're repeating Hashem's name.
Correct. Exactly. You're saying Hashem's name for no reason.
But what is the safek in your mind? You can't figure it out. You're not sure, and you're going back and forth, and you just want to make sure. Let's just do it one more time, just in case I didn't do it.
So that goes back to Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar says, Safek hitpalel, Safek lo hitpalel, eino chozer mitpalel. You do not go back and do it. Safek d'Rabbanan, and you have a Safek.
Maybe you never said
it. Maybe you never said it, but maybe you did. And if you do say it again and you're not supposed to, then you're saying Berachot 21A. So Safek also.
It's better not to say it at all than to say it twice.
When you're not in that situation, according to that opinion. But comes Rabbi Yochanan and says, Rabbi Yochanan tells us it's actually better to pray 18 times a day. Chai, pa'amim. Just keep going. That's what Rabbi Yochanan says. So let's get into the halacha, okay? Shulchan Aruch. Oh, first I have to just talk about this idea of Yitchadesh bo davar. So there's this whole back and forth with the Tur. The Tur says, quoting the Rosh, that this requirement to, if you want to pray, you're allowed to do it, that Shmuel says you're allowed to do it as long as you add something new. So the Tur says, what's so hard about that? Of course you could add something new. Like, no, you could only pray if you could add something new. Okay, so add something new. Like, what why is it so difficult? Maybe it's that hard. If I ask you pray for something new, you should be able to do it very easily. So then he says, you know what the requirement must be? The requirement must be that you have to pray something new in every single bracha, in all 13 of the additional brachot. When you say, you have to have another sin you're asking for forgiveness. When you say, you have to ask refuah shlema for something else. When you say, mevarech Hashem, you have to have parnasah for something else. When you say tikah b'shofar, you have to do tikah b'shofar for something else. The question is, do you even know what that means? Like, you go every single bracha, laminim lamashnim, you have to think about Hashem getting rid of the minim, you have to think about someone else. Like, okay, now you see it's not so simple. This is what the Tur does. The Tur says, look, the fact that Shmuel says, don't do it unless you could add something new. You could ask a 3-year-old to ask for something. Yeah, I want crayons. Okay, so is that not something new? So Tur is assuming that there has to be something difficult here. What is the difficulty? One opinion of what that difficulty is because you have to add something new in every bracha. Another version of why this is so difficult is maybe it's not that you have to ask for something new. It's that you have to ask for something new in your life since the last prayer, which means there must have been some new need in your life. It's not like in the morning I ask for refuah shlema, and then in the afternoon I ask Hashem, please help my back. I have some lower back pain. Before Hashem asked for my back, so now I prayed for something new. No. It has to be that there's a new need in your life, And if there's a new need in your life, then now you could pray for something new that you wouldn't have prayed for before. Then you're allowed to. Oh, now you see, okay, it's not so simple. It's not so simple to say just pray for something new. It's not pray for something new. It's not ask for something like something that you didn't say last time. It's ask for something that you wouldn't have asked for last time because you didn't have that need in your life last time. If there's a new need, all of a sudden, boom, the guy got injured. Okay, fine. Now we're going to allow you. Okay, this is the way the Torah says. The Kesef Mishnah says, what's the big deal? Something new just means something new. You just have to ask for something new. You don't have to make it so difficult. If the person can make the tefillah different, let him pray again. So now let's go ahead and see Shulchan Aruch. Siman Kuf Zayin. There are a few simanim. There are few seifim. There are 4. We're going to do the whole siman. So tonight, when you go home to your wife or to your parents or to your friends, and they say, "Where'd you come from?" You can say, "I came from a Gemara shiur and the halacha shiur." We're going to learn an entire siman of halacha. Orach Chaim siman Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim siman Kuf Zayin 107. Hamesupak im hitpalel. One who is in doubt if he prayed. Vedin Tefillat Nedava, and the law of a voluntary prayer. Who said voluntary? And you said it, right? Here we go. This is a siman that has to do with if you're not sure if you prayed. Ready, Brahma? This is what we're going to talk about. If you're not sure, this is the siman. If someone wants to know where is this covered, you could tell them Gemara Berachot Chaf Aleph and Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim siman Kuf Zayin. Im hu mesupak im hitpalel. If he's not sure if he prayed, chozer umitpalel. Go back and pray. Who does it sound like?
Second guy.
Rabbi Yochanan. Because what was the first opinion? Rabbi Lazar. What did Rabbi Lazar say? If he's not sure, don't go back. So what is Shulchan Aruch telling us? If he's not sure, you could go back. What did Rashi tell us?
That is like Rabbi Lazar.
If you're sure, then you can't do it.
Okay, so he said in a safek halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan, that if you're not sure, you do it again. But if you know that you already prayed, then you can't, like Shmuel. So there's 3 opinions: Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yochanan, and Shmuel. And Rashi is telling us that if you're not sure, follow Rabbi Yochanan, that you're allowed to. But if you're sure that you said it, you do not repeat. Right? That's why there's 3 opinions here. So im hu mesupak im mitpalel. If you're not sure if you prayed, chozer umitpalel, you pray again. Ve'eno sarich lechadesh shum davar. You don't need to add anything new. Says Shulchan Aruch, if you're not sure, we follow Rabbi Yochanan, who says it's koshki. You're praying all day long. You have to add something new. You don't have to add anything new. Just praying is a good thing. It's a good thing. Aval im barilo. Barilo means it's clear to him, meaning if he is sure, sheitpalel, he knows he prayed. It's just that he loves tefillah. He wants to pray again. You know, these guys love selichot. They go to 3 selichot. They go to the 6 a.m. selichot, then he goes to the last one, then he goes to the last selichot. Now he's here. Okay, and they're not going to serve breakfast until they're done. Let me just pray. I'm here already. Okay, but you know that you already prayed. Im barilo sheitpalel eno chozer umitpalel. You could not pray again. Belo chidush, without saying something new. Remember, this is what Shmuel said. Shmuel said, if you prayed at home and then you come to the Bet Knesset, you're not allowed to pray again, unless you could add something new. So it says Shulchan Aruch, ve'al yedei chidush. But if you say something new, chozer umitpalel bin dava, you are allowed to pray again with what's called a voluntary prayer. A nedava is a voluntary prayer. Kol hape'amim sheyirtzeh, as many times as he wants. Says Shulchan Aruch that if you can add something new to the prayer, you are allowed to pray as many times as you want. Now, when we say something new, it could be you add something new to any prayer, any of the brachot. It could be that you have to add something new to every bracha, or it could be that there has to be some new need in your life that you're praying for new. So we don't know what he holds like. So let's see what he's going to get to. But that should be what your question is. But when he says that you're allowed to pray again as many times as you want, as long as it's something new, chutz mitfilat musaf, not musaf though. Why? She'en mitpalelin ota bin dava. Because the musaf prayer was something they would do one musaf in the Beit HaMikdash. It would bring one korban musaf. The Beit HaMikdash is not something that if someone would say, I want to bring another musaf, it's like, what are you talking about? No, there's no extra musaf. But shacharit, you could do an extra one. Uve Shabbat v'Yom Tov eno mitpalel tefillat nedava klal. And on Shabbat and Yom Tov, we don't bring additional prayers either. Okay, it's a shortened day. You don't do the extra one. So then what leaves us is weekday prayers. You're allowed to do as many as you want. If you add something new, that's called a Tefillat Nedava. Nedava means a voluntary prayer. Now, this is the situation that Shmuel also spoke about. Let's say he started praying, assuming that he didn't pray yet. My Shabbat Mincha example. I come to shul on Friday night, I come to Kenny on Friday night, and I start praying because I think I didn't pray. And then all of a sudden you realize that you prayed. Posek, stop. Even in the middle of the bracha, even if you can come up with something new, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, you have to stop. Okay? So, Ilan, is it clear? Are you supposed to finish the bracha? You're not supposed to finish the bracha. Posek. And then you say, hold on a second. Wait, time out. You just told me I could do 10 tefillot if I could do something new. So here I'm in the middle of my tefillah. I'm in the middle of my amidah. I realize, I already prayed. But you know what? I could craft something new. Stop. No. You didn't start with a nedava. Then you can't turn this into a nedava. Very good. If you start off assuming this is a chovah, and then you realize it's not a chovah, you have to stop. You cannot convert to a nedava in the middle of a tefillah. Yeah. The intention of why am I praying is key. If I know that as I am praying now, I know that this is a nedava, then I'm allowed to do a nedava. It says Shulchan Aruch. And Shulchan Aruch tells you is that as long as you could say something new, you're allowed to do a nedava. And here I'm allowed to do something new, but you're not allowed to do it in this situation. Why? Because you started off thinking that you didn't pray yet, thinking that this is a chovah, this is a requirement. So once it's mistaken, this tefillah, you have to stop. You have to stop. You cannot continue. If afterwards you want to do a nedava, you could do a nedava as much as you want, as we said. But this one you cannot do. Okay? Now, remember, I wanted to know, what does Shulchan Aruch say? What does the chidush mean? Because we have a machloket between the Tur says something, the Kesef Mishnah says something, not the Kesef Mishnah, the Bet Yosef says something. By the way, the Bet Yosef who argues with the Tur, the Bet Yosef is the same author as the Shulchan Aruch. Okay? So here is the Bet Yosef in a different book, Shulchan Aruch. Let's see what he says. Chidush zeh she'amarnu. When we said you have to say something new, when we said you have to say something new if you want to do a tefillah nedava, hu sheyichadesh eze davar bechol bracha me'ha'emsayot. That means he has to add something new in all middle brachot. When we say middle brachot, what does that mean? Sorry? Bakashot, very good. Just to explain for anyone who doesn't know, every Amidah is structured the same way. The first three brachot are identical in every bracha. Sometimes you have to add extra v'zochenu l'chaim, but the first three brachot are identical. It's Magen Avraham, Ata Gibor Hashem Mechayim Mitim, Hashem Mechayim Mitim, Ata Kadosh, Hayel Kadosh. Those are the first three. The last three are always the same. Ritzeh, Modim, Sim Shalom. Elokai Nesor says Shalom, all of that is the same. Okay? It's the ones that's in the middle. There are 13 brachot in the middle. They are requests. You are requesting for Chokhmah. You are requesting for Selicha. You're requesting for Teshuvah. Requesting for Geula. Requesting for Parnasa. Requesting for Naminim, Lamashnim, Ala Tzedikim, Ala Chasidim, Mevarach Hashanim, Bonei Yerushalayim, Tzemach David, Shema Koleinu, all of these. So Shulchan Aruch says, when I say that you have to say something new, Bechol Beracha Me'emsayot Me'en HaBerachot, related to that topic. You have to say something new in every bracha related to that bracha, which means you can't in every single bracha, Hashem give me $5, Hashem give me $10, Hashem give me $20. Oh, you see, I have something new to every single bracha. No, it has nothing. It has to be related to the bracha. Related to the bracha. However, says Shulchan Aruch, V'im chidesh afilu bebracha achat. But if you could come up with something new, even in one bracha, dayo, it's enough. Okay, I'm telling you what you should do because he's trying to cover it, saying, okay, respect the opinion of the Torah. But even if you just come up with one thing, that's a rabule. This is what they say, rabule. You come up with one thing and one bracha, I accept it. Kidei lehodia shehi nedava v'lo chova. You're showing, oh, this is a new tefillah. Okay? Haga. When we say Haga, what does that mean? No. Very good. This is actually a different author. Once you say Haga, this is the opinion of the Ramah, Ramosha. So this is the Ashkenazi rabbi. The Ashkenazi rabbi is going to defend the Tur, who is Ashkenazi. And he's going to say, remember what the Tur said, that opinion that you need to say a new event, a need that did not exist before. Let's see if the Ramah says it. V'yesh omrim, some say, Dilom mikre chidush, it's only a chidush, ela im nitchadesh etzlo davar, if there's something new that happened to him, shelo haya sarich elav kodem lachen, that he did not need beforehand. What does it mean that if you can say something new? It means if you could pray for something that is a new need to you, that you didn't need in your last prayer. Now, okay, so a guy gets in a car accident, and it's like, okay, I want to pray mincha again now. Yeah, I'm allowed to, because like I just hurt my ankle. Or I just lost a lot of money in my car. That's what it means. It's not just like if you could think of Ribbono Shel Olam, help me to have healthy enamel in my teeth. Oh, I came up with something new. Ribbono Shel Olam, help slow down the receding hairline. Okay, you guys saying something new, right? I can come up with many of these things, but that's not what it is. This is what the Ramah says. Again, Shulchan Aruch really covers all three opinions. He says how it's to say something new in every bracha. But if you say something new in even one bracha, that's enough. And then the Ramah comes and says, some say that no, you have this requirement to have a new need altogether. But we follow Shulchan Aruch. What does Shulchan Aruch say? Something new. Okay? Let me. Okay, Tomer has a question. You have a question? Let me finish the Shulchan Aruch. There's two more seifim, and then we'll take your questions. Seif Gimel Ein Sibur Mitpalin Tefillat Nedava Klal. He says the concept of a voluntary prayer does not apply to a minyan, that tzibur. You don't have a minyan saying like, we want to pray again. I don't know. It's halftime. We're waiting. It's a Super Bowl halftime, and we don't want to watch the Super Bowl halftime show. Let's do one more mincha. It's not how it works. You don't do it with a minyan. Individuals can do it. You don't do it as a minyan. And then the last one, Tefillat Nedava. This is extremely important. Because this is something that you know what? I'm going to pause here. I will come back to this because I need some build up for this. Let's ask some questions. Yes, go ahead.
Really can't ask for like family team so why is that bringing it up? Like when I understand small colleague, you can ask for something.
Right.
You can ask, but just going like by Yerushalayim, you can't.
So that's exactly it. There has to be something new that you're thinking about the rebuilding of Yerushalayim. So Ribbono Shel Olam, help build the Beit HaMikdash. Ribbono Shel Olam, help build the walls of Yerushalayim. Ribbono Shel Olam, help us to bring us the korbanot in the Beit HaMikdash. Something new that you're praying for in the rebuilding of Yerushalayim. Korbanot is something new. Building the walls is something new. Melech HaMashiach is the next one, something new. So yeah, if it's a hard task. That's exactly the point. It's a hard task to come up with something new for all of the emsayot. Yeah.
It's like in your mind, like the kavanah you should be thinking of while you're reading it, or you should like stop. Because I know like you can stop in the middle of the bracha and like pray for extra stuff in the middle of the.
Yeah. So you're saying you have to verbalize it. I think the understanding is you have to verbalize it. Shitchadesh b'davar is that you have to verbalize and say something new in your own words. In your own words.
Extra kavanah.
Correct. Yes.
Kind of the question is like, pausing to pray for whatever we want in that section.
Correct.
And other brachot would have to say what the words are there.
So now we're seeing, no, you're allowed to add to every single bracha. You're allowed to add to every single bracha related to that bracha. So you, in the middle of refining, you could say, Ribbono Shel Olam, my back is hurting. I have a lot of back pain. I know that my refuah is in your hands. Please give me refuah shlema for my back. You're allowed to say that in your own language. Yeah. To say it in your own language.
No, let's say pray for why in that bracha.
100%. Instead of praying for Rifa'enu and Shema Kolenu, you should pray for Rifa'enu in Rifa'enu. Yeah, for sure. This is what we're saying. Now, the thing about Shema Kolenu is that Shema Kolenu is the wild card. Shema Kolenu, Hashem, please answer our prayers. It's all inclusive. It's the catch-all. But if you could, in the bracha, you have a bracha for parnasa, and you don't think about parnasa. Then you come to Shema Kolin and you say parnasa. Why don't you ask for parnasa? And the bracha of parnasa, Berachot Hashalim is parnasa. Rafa'inu is the bracha of Refuah Shlema. So yeah, for sure, it's better to say it in that bracha. Yeah.
If I'm wrong, but what Tomer was saying before, that there's certain brachot that it's very hard to make it personal. Actually, I've heard somewhere, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that every bracha, even the Tishkon, the Tok Yerushalayim, or the Restore the Judges, you could reflect it directly to yourself. Like, rebuilding Yerushalayim is not a Yerushalayim in Israel, it's in your heart. Please, Hashem, build Yerushalayim in my heart, so Hashem, you dwell within me. Could that be an angle, or is that off?
Rama, you have to do like Rabbi Yochanan. You have to pray all day long. All day long. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think if you were to pray and do this all day long, I think Mashiach would be here.
I'm not saying it to be bad. I'm just saying.
No, of course.
And reflect it to yourself as opposed to outside. Because
Look,
Amidah is for ourselves. 13 brachas is for ourselves. It's not built.
Exactly.
When you take every bracha and reflect it to how you can do it in your own.
100%, the tefillot should be personal to you. It should be some self-reflective. Now, I think there's like a stretch, like rebuilding Yerushalayim is building Yerushalayim. I don't know what it means in my heart. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that.
Dwell in my heart. Hashem, I want you to dwell inside me.
Okay. I don't know if that's Yerushalayim, but I think what you're onto something. Like, what is, you can. Ribono shel Olam, Yerushalayim is a place where your Shekhinah comes from there. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Torah comes from there. And Ribono shel Olam, I want to know Torah in my heart. Yeah, okay, very good. I think that works. I think there could be. I remember being in a Tehillim class, and like in the more you say things, you participate, and you get your grade, right? You want to just show your participation. So there was this one guy that was very clearly doing this, and we were learning a Tehillim thing, and over there in the Tehillim it says kinor. It's instrument. David HaMelech plays the instrument, and the guy says, "I think the kinor is a metaphor." And the professor said, I think a kinor is a musical instrument. I don't know what you mean by a metaphor. What is a metaphor for? For music, it's musical. Yes, it's not a metaphor. It's a real thing. Like the guy was just saying something. I think there's a point where you could call everything a metaphor, and eventually you say that, like, okay, whatever, like, sure. You have the poetic license to do whatever you want with your tefillah. No one is going to tell you your tefillah is wrong. No one's going to tell you your tefillah is wrong. I do think that the words have a context to them, but if you take that context and apply it to something else, beautiful. Yeah, I think so. What does Yerushalayim mean to me? The fact that Yerushalayim is missing in this world, what does that mean to me? So when I'm asking Ribono shel Olam for Yerushalayim, what am I really asking for? And it comes out to be something else? Yes, it comes out Ribono shel Olam because there's no Yerushalayim. I don't have the yirah of bringing korbanot. So since I don't have korbanot, I don't feel it. I don't feel your closeness. Beautiful. Are you praying for Yerushalayim? Yes, you're praying for Yerushalayim, but you're making it personal. That's very hard. That means every single bracha you need to self-reflect on. Okay. You guys ready? A student doesn't do homework. Anytime there's a test, he doesn't show up, and he's failing the class. And he comes to the teacher and he says, "Can I have some extra credit?" What's the teacher's response? Forget about extra credit. Just do what you have to do. There's homework assignments for you to do. Just do the homework assignments. Don't ask me about extra credit when you're not doing the problems that you're required to do. Why are you trying to do extra? Just do the base. Or you're not showing up to take the test. This is what's important, not extra, right? All of the Achronim jump on this concept of a Tefillat Nedava, and they say, listen. Before you start doing extra tefillot, just make sure that the tefillot that you're doing is correct. Because if while you're praying, you're thinking about everything, you're thinking about the stock market, and you're thinking about what's going on in work, and you're thinking about your family, and you're thinking about your kids, and you're thinking about your business, and you're thinking about your car, and then you come and say, I want to pray again. It's, you know what? Do me a favor. I don't need your extra credit. Just focus on what you're doing. In fact, there's a pasuk that says, Mi bikesh zot lachem, where the Navi says, I didn't ask you to bring so many korbanot. What do you keep bringing korbanot for? You keep bringing more korbanot. Ribono shel Olam prefers quality over quantity. So all the Achronim that jump on this and they say, before you start adding additional prayers, Tefillat Nedava, just make sure that the tefillot that you're praying b'chavana. That the three prayers that you have, you're doing correct. And if not, instead of adding another one, do what Rama said. Focus on every bracha that you're saying 3 times a day, it's enough. Those 3 times a day, just focus on that and focus on every single bracha. What does Tishkon B'toch Yishlayim Yiracha mean? What is Tikav B'Sheva Gadol Tzaratin? What does it mean? How do I connect it to my life? That's enough. So, are you allowed to? We said what Shulchan Aruch said. Shulchan Aruch says if you could add something new, you're allowed to. But the Achronim now, and we're going to see what Shulchan Aruch says right now in the last seif of the Siman. Ready? This is seif Daled. Harotzeh Yitpalel Tefillat Nedava. If someone wants to do this, wants to pray the voluntary prayer, Sarich Sheyeh Makir Tatzmo, he has to recognize himself, Zariz Ve'Zahir, that he's very quick and he's very careful. Ve'amud b'da'ato sheyuchal lechaven b'tfilato merosh ve'atsof. He has to be certain that he's going to have kavanah and he's going to stay focused from the beginning to the end of this prayer. Because if you're going to do something extra and it's only going to be half, it's better that you don't do it because no one asked you to do it. If the person is going to say this and he's not, and all of a sudden he's going to be taking out his phone or he's going to be looking at the game on the TV over there while he's praying, Karinan Be, you call this guy Lama li rov zivchachem. It's a pasuk in Yeshayahu where Hashem says to the people, I don't need so many sacrifices. I just want you to be pure. I just want you to be good. Hashem prefers quality over quantity. Instead of saying that I'm going to read the entire Tehillim 3 times over, just tell yourself, I'm going to pick 1 chapter of Tehillim and understand what it means. I'm going to pick 2 chapters of Tehillim and study it to understand what it is, to take that, to go into my heart so that I could penetrate, so that I could change the person. I have no doubt that people that are reading Tehillim from cover to cover, it's a tremendous zechut. It's the words of David HaMelech, it's a word of Nebuah, and it has its effects. But I also have no doubt that if it has no effect on you, because you don't know what you're saying and you're just reading cover to cover, that there could be more quality here. And if someone says, instead of me reading the entire book of Tehillim, let me take 1 chapter, let me take 2 chapters, let me take a commentary, let me try to understand it, let me then think about how I could take this into my life, let me think how I could improve as a person, how I could change as a person, how I could take this Tehillim to inspire me to grow, I have no doubt that that's better than someone that just reads something that he doesn't know what it means. You read holy words, it has an effect. You read holy words that changes you, it has a greater effect. So this is what he's saying. What do I need all of your sacrifices for? V'halavai. This time he adds a hated. V'halavai sheyuchal lechaven b'shlosha tefilot hakevuot layom. If only a person has kavanah for the 3 tefillot that he's required. Amazing how he takes Rabbi Yochanan's word of ulvai sheitpalel kol hayom kulo, and he flips it and he says, ulvai, that you have kavanah for the 3 that you're required to have, right? Which is something that's very important. This is the example that I said. If someone comes and says, I want to do more, I want to do more, it's like, look, you're not ready for more. Just focus on what you have so far. If the tefillah that you're praying, you're not praying with kavanah, tefillah below kavanah, keguf below neshama. Praying without having concentration is like a body without a neshama in it. It's a body, but it has no life, right? So this is the way Shulchan Aruch ends off very, very poignantly. You're allowed to do Tefillat Nedava, but he ends up at the end saying that if you're going to do this, just make sure that this is something that you know that you can do. Keeping this in mind, now we have a full picture of this halakha. If someone doesn't know if he prayed, okay, what is the halakha? I don't know if I prayed. What am I supposed to do? You're supposed to pray again. This is what Shulchan Aruch tells us. Why? Because even though Rabbi Lazar tells us not to, because it's Rabbanan and you have the whole fear of Berachot 21A-21B, Rabbi Yochanan tells us that it's okay to pray multiple times a day. So Shulchan Aruch tells us you could pray again. But Shulchan Aruch tells us that this is not something that you just do all the time. When someone is going to pray again, when someone is going to pray, they should be able to focus on the prayer. So in a situation where you're not sure, this is what you're supposed to do. Ribono shel olam. Okay, you talk. Ready? I don't know if I prayed. Ribono shel olam. I don't know if I prayed. If I prayed already, so you accepted my tefillah. But if I didn't pray already, I didn't give you a tefillah yet. So what should I do? I have to pray. So here's what I'm going to do, God. I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray again because maybe I need to. And if I don't need to, accept this as a Tefillat Nedava. This is a voluntary prayer. So anyway, I'm allowed to do it. If I didn't pray, I'm going to pray now. And if I already did, I'm going to give you a voluntary prayer now. Here is a situation where you use a voluntary prayer. Okay? Otherwise, Shulchan Aruch warns us, don't use this often. Don't say, I'm going to pray extra, unless you know that you can do it. And if you want to be machmir, Shulchan Aruch says, you have to say something new in all 13 middle brachot. And if you want to be machmir like the Ramah, you also have to have a new need in your life before you pray. So I would tell you that if, let's say, someone is in a situation where chas v'shalom, they come back from a doctor and they hear bad news. They already prayed. But in that moment, they feel like they need to pray. Are you allowed to? Yes. That's the perfect moment of saying, like, I'm like locked in. I need to pray to Hashem right now. That's when you do a Tefillat Nedava. There's something new in my life. I know I'm going to have kavanah right now. I need to pour out my heart to you. So that's a good time to do it. But if someone is just like bikar and says, the poppers are coming in 15 minutes, well, let's just do an extra. This is not the right. That's what Shulchan Aruch is telling us. Quality over quantity. Okay? Very good. I see there's a lot of questions. Okay, yes, Rama. Right now we're talking only about the Amidah. If you're talking to Hashem throughout the day, you could pray all day long. Okay, but we're talking about the brachot of the Amidah.
Structured requests only come in the Amidah, nowhere else in the Tefillah. Is that correct? There's no other part of it.
No, that's not true. Like we do Tehillim, when we say the David. There's other parts of the Tefillah where we say different things. But here in this situation, we're talking about Amidah. Okay? All right. I want to show you a few things here. All right, quickly. Some halachot from Rav Ovadia Yosef's website. This Halacha Yomit website. I'm going to ask you the question. Don't read the answer. One who begins the Amidah prayer and then remembers that he had already prayed. What is the appropriate procedure for one who had begun to recite the Amidah prayer and then suddenly remembers that he has already prayed that specific prayer? Stop. What if you're going to add something new? No. Doesn't matter. Which opinion is this? Not really sure. No? No? Shmuel, yes, very good. You said, Rama, you even added rabbis to the page. There's no Rabbi Yoshua. That's on that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yes. So it's Shmuel. Shmuel says you have to stop. And this is even though a voluntary prayer is allowed. Now, look at this. The Gemara, Berachot 21A. Wow, look at that. Deals with this situation and states, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, if someone is standing in prayer and remembers that he already prayed, one must stop even in the middle of the blessing. This means that if one remembers in the middle of the Amidah prayer, such as in the middle of Rifa'inu, that he has already prayed, one must stop praying immediately. For every blessing one has recited until this point was an error. And one must write Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Olam Va'ed. So Ravadia adds here that since you said Hashem's name for no reason, you should say Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Olam Va'ed. One may not even conclude the blessing one is in the middle of, such as Rifa'inu. For the conclusion of that blessing of Baruch Atah Hashem Rafei Chol Amo Yisrael is a text of a blessing which includes Hashem's name in it, and it may not be recited in vain. The apparent question is, we have already explained that according to the letter of the law, one may pray a voluntary donated prayer, a prayer of which all the blessings are non-obligatory. If you're allowed to do a voluntary prayer, if so, in our case, when one remembers in the middle of prayer that one has already prayed this prayer, why not allow the individual to continue at the very least as a donated prayer, as a voluntary prayer, so that not all the blessings that he has already recited are considered in vain? Indeed, the Rishonim disagree regarding this very point. Okay. Here we go. This is what I want to say. For since one has begun this prayer as in obligatory prayer, one cannot switch over in the middle of the prayer to make it a donated prayer. Because the prayer is in the place of offerings, and we must find no such offering that is part of our obligatory and voluntary. This is like part of korbanot. You started a korban with the wrong intention, it's done. You can't fix it. It started the wrong way. Okay? Now, summary, one who has begun reciting the Amidah and then realizes he's already prayed that specific prayer, one must stop praying immediately, even in the middle of the blessing. You know why this is amazing? Because we learn the Gemara, we learn the Halacha, and now when you come to see this, you have all this entire sukkah is from right here, from the Rambam of Berachot, the Chafalef. And you have the flow of the Gemara. Now, the one more thing I want to show you is what he says about the voluntary prayer. What is a voluntary prayer, and is it recited nowadays? I'm not going to read this whole thing, but let's just go to the bottom. Halachically speaking, one should not pray any voluntary prayers at all nowadays. Hold on, let me tell you why. The Rosh means to say that prayer without intention or concentration is like a body without a soul. Thus, we must put maximum effort to concentrate fully during the 3 prayers that we are obligated to pray. However, adding additional prayers is not recommended in our times when concentration is quite difficult and not many people have the ability to do so. Thus, one who does so will bear the verse, for what purpose is your multitude of sacrifices? As Shulchan Aruch says, Maran Shulchan Aruch says this way, this is the quoted Kuf Zayin, this is the halakha we just learned, and he tells us that you shouldn't say extra because of the kavanah issue. I gave you a situation where someone's knows they're going to have kavanah, they're allowed to. Yes?
Similar to what we learned about Shema, is where Matan that Shema, they tell him to say it because boy, you're gonna have the anava to say that. Oh, I always have kavanah when I say, so over here I can't say.
Very good, very good.
Same thing over here. It's like, but it's the opposite.
Yeah, halacha nowadays, in the times of the Gemara, we believed you could have kavanah. So a chatan can't have kavanah, so you say don't say Shema. Everyone else, you have kavanah for Shema. Chatan can't. But the way Tosfot says is like no one has kavanah anyway. So you're not any better than anyone else saying, oh, I have kavanah every night. No one has kavanah any night. So say Shema. That's what you tell. That's what we say. The same concept here. Rabbi Yochanan says, but then the Rosh says, but that's only if you could have kavanah. No one has kavanah anymore. So what are you going to do extra tefilot now? And it's better not to say, which is what Shulchan Aruch tells us. Okay? Yes. The 3 Amidah, Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvi. He's saying, I'm giving you 3 a day. Focus on the 3 a day. You know, someone recently was flying overseas, going to Thailand. And you leave here on a Thursday night and you land there Tuesday morning. And the guy is, and it's just, you're just losing, and the guy's going out of his mind, saying, I can't pray, what? I missed the Shacharit, I missed the Mincha, I missed the Arvit, I just missed it. They just took it away from me. And it's like, you chose to go to Thailand. No one forced you to go to Thailand, man. And he never missed a day of tefillin in his life. You know who I'm talking about. And Hassan, he couldn't sleep for 3 days because of this. The guy is going and he can't sleep because he missed a day. But that's okay. That's in that situation. If there's no daylight, you can't put on your tefillin. So you get on a plane on Sunday night at midnight. Then when you land, the next time you see sun is a Tuesday morning. You didn't do anything wrong. You put your tefillin on the next time you saw sun. So I know he felt very bad about it, but I told him there's nothing to feel bad about. You don't have to feel bad. You put on tefillin the next time you see the sun. You see the sun. It happens to be Tuesday because you're going to that side of the world. Okay, fine. But the idea there is you're required. You have certain requirements to do 3 times a day. Whatever you're required to do, do it at its best. If you're not required to do it, you don't have to worry about doing extra. Like, should I put on tefillin an extra time? You can, but you're not required to. Whatever you're required to do, focus on that, and that'll be that's what the Rosh tells us. Those 3 periods that you're required to do that. Don't ask for extra credit. Just focus on what the teacher gave you. Teacher gave you homework. Do your homework before you start asking for extra credit. Okay? All right. The next section, I'm gonna just end you off, just letting you know what's coming up next. The next thing that we'll talk about next week, which I thought we were going to do tonight, but it's okay. We had a good shiur tonight. Is I come to the Kanisa, I come to the Bet Knesset, and I'm late. Mincha, I walk in, they already started. Okay? I know mincha starts at 4:45. I walked in at 4:49. Should I start my Amidah right now? What are the thoughts that are going through your mind? Okay, so do I say Ashrei first? Am I going to make it for the repetition? What do you mean? Like, yeah, you're exactly correct.
Or now,
Exactly. If I start now, and he's going to start the repetition in 1 minute, I missed Nakdishach, I missed the repetition, I missed everything. Okay? Okay, so you're saying that if I'm in the Amidah and there is Nakdishach, then you're saying here's something that I could do is I can stop back and listen. The question is, what? So the question is at 4:49, do I say I'm gonna start and stop when they come up to that? Or do I say, let me not start yet. Let me wait until I hear the Nakdishach and then say it. Or maybe there's another option. Maybe I should start together with the Chazan as he starts to do Chazara and then get up to Nakdishach together with him and I'm allowed to say it. Maybe. Maybe I have to wait until after he finishes Modim and then I should start my Tefillah. Maybe I have to only start if I know that I'll be done before he starts. So if it's 4:46, I can start. 4:48, you can't start. Maybe you go home. Maybe you go home. Maybe you came, you're late, you missed it, go home. Maybe that's what halacha is. Which one is it? For this, you need to come back next week, okay? Okay. Hazak Baruch, guys. Have a great week, everyone.
Hazak, thank you.
Okay.